Back because of popular demand, we've had so many requests for this one, so we're returning for another round of the strangest feats in rock history. This time we're going bigger than ever before with a really supersized episode. Now, last time our number one was the only artist to sell 90 million records without ever playing a live concert. It was Enya. This time, even more insane, including the famous band that played 21 full concerts in just 24 hours, requiring military precision as they tore down, traveled, and set up again and again with zero room for error because they played different venues each time. Then there's the shocking story of the loudest concert ever. Legendary band cranked up their amps so loud that 3 fans hit the floor unconscious. 2 went deaf from the overwhelming sound. I mean, it was a stunt so dangerous that the Guinness Book of World Records had to retire the category forever. And then there was the largest band ever play together. Over 1,000 musicians playing at the same time as one massive group. It actually started as a dream. It was a viral video plea from one man to his favorite band and ended up breaking world records in front of packed stadiums. There's plenty more where that came from. These rock records push music to its absolute limits. You're going to love it. Let's do it. Hey, music junkies. Let's count down the strangest feats in rock history. Really kind of the Guinness Book of World Records by way of music. Kicking off our countdown, coming in at number 7, it's the most concerts performed in a single day. In 1998, Jackyl pulled off one of the most insane stunts in rock history. They actually played 21 full concerts in just 24 hours. Not 21 songs, 21 complete shows of at least 30 minutes or longer, a lot of them 45 minutes to an hour. And Guinness was there to make it official. So formed in 1991, Jackyl was never your typical rock band. They were blue-collar southern rockers with a hair metal edge with zero pretense. Led by the charismatic Jesse James Dupree, these guys built their reputation on relentless touring and wild live shows. We're talking chainsaw solos, real chainsaws here on stage. Actually, their song, The Lumberjack, featured Dupree revving up a chainsaw and cutting through whatever he could find. It was always loud, it was always dangerous, and crowds went nuts for it. Hits like Down on Me, When Will It Rain, and The Lumberjack helped establish Jackyl as road warriors who would play anywhere, anytime. They'd already set one Guinness Book of World Records by playing 100 shows in 50 days. That wasn't enough, though. In 1998, they were ready to take it to the next level. To promote their greatest hits album, Choice Cuts, Jackyl's management cooked up something that was even more ambitious. They were going to play 21 concerts in a single day. Jesse James Dupree saw it more than just a publicity stunt, though. Said Jesse, and I quote, "What we did validates that rock and roll is still alive. If you build it, they will come." His words. It was a statement that rock bands could still captivate audiences through sheer grit and sheer determination, even as radio and MTV moved on to other sounds at that point. The logistics were mind-boggling, though. Each concert was a full production with lights and sound, everything. Everything you'd expect from a professional rock show. And the entire event was staged in Texas, which gave them a concentrated geography to work with. But even so, coordinating 21 different venues in 24 hours, of course it required military precision. Daytime sets, they ran on average about 45 minutes. Nighttime shows stretched up to 2 hours. Now, in between, the crew had to tear down, load up, and then drive to the next venue. They'd have to set up again and get ready to rock. This was split-second timing. Everything counted. There was no room for error, no time for lunch breaks, no time for a traffic jam. One delay and the whole thing would fall apart. The physical and mental toll on the band, it was brutal. Dupree later said it was the most grueling challenge Jackyl had ever faced, or maybe even any band. More exhausting than their 100 shows in 50 days record, simply because of that compressed intensity. For 24 straight hours, they pushed through fatigue, strain, and sheer exhaustion. Can you imagine singing for that long? But they did it. All 21 shows. Since my chainsaw, yeah! Guinness World Records certified the achievement, awarding Jackyl the title for most concerts performed in a 24-hour period. The 21-show day became instant legend within Jackyl's fiercely loyal fan base. It reinforced the band's brand as the hardest-working rockers in the business. Dupree declared, and I quote, "I'm confident that no one will break this record, If they do, I'll be there to shake their hands. Wow, and that's just the first record here.
That's the way we like it.
Now coming in at number 6, I've got the frontman who owns the longest held vocal note in a US chart-topping single, Sheriff's Freddie Curchie. Talked about this, I don't know, 3 years ago. But the story starts with his bandmate Arnold Lanni. Back in 1982, Arnold was in a bind. Valentine's Day was approaching and he had nothing to give his girlfriend Valerie. Like a lot of us, we wait till the last second. So he did what any broke musician would do. Sat down at the piano and he wrote her a song. The whole thing came together in a few minutes. Lanni started playing and the melody, it just materialized from there. When he played it for Valerie, he told her it was all that he could give her for Valentine's Day. Of course, she loved it, and they later married. However, when Lanni brought When I'm With You to the rest of the band Sheriff, he got a totally different reaction. Nobody loved it. They thought it was just too soft. It wasn't their style, it wasn't their image. It was only after their producer insisted they record it that the track even made it onto their 1982 debut album. But here's where Freddie comes in, okay? Near the end of the song in the final chorus, Freddie sings the word you, and he just held it. And he held it, and he held it. And he held it for 19.3 seconds. Beginning at 3 minutes and 26 seconds into the track, that note just soars, and you start to wonder if it's ever gonna end. It's actually stunning. According to Freddie, the whole thing started out as a joke. I mean, he was actually just messing around. Freddie kept holding the note during the recording session to see who would blink first, him or his producer, the engineer. He was absolutely sure at some point his producer would motion for him to stop or just fade out the voice and they'd be done. But the tape just kept rolling. And what started as a gag became one of pop music's most insane records. However, that #1 ranking, it would take almost 6 years to achieve. Get this, When I'm With You, it first dropped in 1983, I think it was June. It peaked at a disappointing number 61 on the Billboard Hot 100. It actually did a lot better in Canada, it actually went top 10, number 8. But outside Canada, the song didn't exactly set the world on fire, and everybody kind of forgot it. By 1985, Sheriff had disbanded. Distribution issues and lack of promotional momentum killed their chances, so the band faded quietly into obscurity. Well, sort of. In 1988, something miraculous happened. US radio stations started spinning When I'm With You again. I mean, it's hard to say exactly how it happened, but some DJ somewhere just decided to start spinning it, and the song caught on. And it spread like wildfire. Soon listeners across the US couldn't get enough of it. Capitol, they took notice and they re-released the single. Only now there was no band to support it. Propelled purely by radio requests and word of mouth, the song climbed to the Billboard Hot 100. And finally, in 1989, February, 6 years after its original release and 4 years after Sheriff had broken up, When I'm With You hit #1. It actually knocked Phil Collins' Two Hearts off the It's one of the rarest achievements in music history. A song topping the charts years after its original release, long after the band even ceased to exist. So he held the note for about 20 seconds, and it took almost 6 years for anyone to notice. So his note was really held for 20 seconds and 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is, right? Freddie, his 19.3 second note is one for the record books. Sheriff, Freddie and guitarist Steve DeMarchi, they formed the band Alias, and they scored another hit with More Than Words Can Say. That one reached #2 in 1990. I need you now. And since that was Alias's only big hit single, that meant that Freddie Curchie achieved another uncommon feat. He was a one-hit wonder with 2 different bands a year apart. At the #5 position, it's the Beatles with a modern landmark moment to add to their career, as if they didn't already have a lot of records. The only band to have all 5 songs in the top 5 in a countdown. And they also had 20 #1 hits as well, the most #1 hits by anybody. Can you believe that though? 5 slots, all the top 5 in 1964, the Beatles had all 5 songs. That's crazy to me. So on November 2nd, 2023, we're actually coming up on the anniversary, something extraordinary happened across America. At exactly 10 a.m. Eastern Time, over 760 radio stations simultaneously premiered the Beatles Now and Then. And Guinness World Records certified the event as the most radio stations to ever simulcast a music track. The reach was staggering, though, nearly 300 million potential listeners. I mean, that's roughly 90% of the entire U.S. population. iHeartMedia, which orchestrated the event, pulled out every stop. Rock stations, classic rock, pop, country, adult, contemporary, alternative, it didn't matter. Even news and sports stations joined in on this. It didn't matter what format you listened to, it was on. At 10 a.m., the Beatles were once again invading the airwaves. Tom Pullman, chief programming officer for iHeartMedia, summed it up perfectly when he talked about the Beatles' historical connection to radio. I mean, this wasn't a publicity stunt at all. It was a celebration, a moment to share the release of their final song with millions of fans at the exact same time.
I know it's true.
But what made Now and Then so special? It's being called the last Beatles song. The track, a lot of this you probably know, but it was decades in the making. Back in the late 70s, John Lennon recorded a rough home demo of Now and Then. It was just John at the piano, voice, and keys, nothing polished. After his death in 1980, the recording sat untouched for years. And then in the mid-90s, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr attempted to finish it during the anthology sessions. But the technology, it just wasn't there to do it. John's voice was buried in the mix and tangled up with the piano. So they actually had to shelve it. Fast forward to 2023, and advances in audio technology finally made it possible to isolate Lennon's voice from the original demo.
And now and then.
Paul and Ringo went back into the studio and added new contributions, guitar parts, drums, backing vocals, everything. They even wove in some of George Harrison's guitar work from those 90s sessions.
It's all.
The result was the first new Beatles studio release since 1996's Free as a Bird. It's a deeply emotional track, and you can hear it. Paul and Ringo finishing what John started all those years ago, bringing the Beatles full circle with Harrison in there as well.
If we must start again.
And to drive the point home, the song was released as a double A-side single alongside a fresh stereo mix of Love Me Do, the Beatles' 1962 debut.
Love me do. You know I love you.
Bookends, man. Beginning and end, past and present. Gotta love it. The coordinated simulcast was unprecedented, though. Never before had a single song been aired across so many formats and locations at one precise moment. The only one that's in that vicinity, but Guinness World Records wasn't there to allege it, was when We Are the World was played in early '85. And in an age dominated by streaming, where everybody listens on their own schedule, this was genuinely a shared experience. It doesn't happen anymore. Millions of people tuning in at the same time. Just like the old days, though. After the initial premiere, classic rock stations played Now and Then every hour throughout the day, and fans flooded social media. Streams and sales skyrocketed. The song debuted high on international charts and became an instant cultural talking point. This was a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation celebration of music legacy and the unifying power of radio. Strangely enough, though, I get in trouble if I play the Beatles on my radio show. I'm told by the higher-ups that the Beatles don't do well on classic rock. Classic rock radio. It's insane, isn't it? Coming in at number 4, we're headed to a land down under for an AC/DC record that we hope will never be broken. On March 1st, 2020, something absolutely crazy went down in Perth, Western Australia. At Tompkins Park, 3,722 AC/DC fans gathered to simultaneously play Highway to Hell on air guitar. And yeah, Guinness World Records made it official. This was the largest gathering of air guitar players ever assembled. It's part of a massive tribute to AC/DC's late singer Bon Scott. It was held on the 40th anniversary of his death. Now, the full festival drew over 150,000 people, shutting down entire stretches of Canning Highway for live performances by tribute bands. And the air guitar record attempt? That was actually the centerpiece. But for Australia, this wasn't just about celebrating AC/DC. It was also about reclaiming glory. Back in 2009, Australia had set the air guitar world record with 1,883 participants. However, in 2011, they lost it. Highland, California swooped in and they took the crown. It was actually September 22nd, 2011. The previous record was set at the San Manuel Indian Bingo and Casino in Highland. Local radio station KCAL FM organized a rock and roll bingo event, and during the break, with bingo in action, I guess, 2,377 air guitarists assembled to play along to Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train.
Going off the rails on a crazy train.
The tribute band Mr. Crowley, they performed the track live while the crowd air shredded in unison. The whole thing was meticulously planned. Participants lined up to check in and receive a free air guitar if they forgot to bring their own out of this. And before the record attempt, professional air guitarist Bjorn Torke, he delivered a lesson in air guitar technique. Guinness World Records staff were on site to verify that attempt, and then just like that, California became the new air guitar capital of the world. But you know what? Australia wasn't going to let that stand. In 2020, the Perth Festival organizers saw their opportunity. The 40th anniversary of Bon Scott's death was the perfect moment to rally rock fans and bring the record back home where it belonged. What better song to do it? Highway to Hell. It's quintessential AC/DC, probably the greatest riff ever in my opinion. It's a tribute to Bon Scott's era, and it's a song that practically demands you pick up an invisible guitar and rock out wherever you are. So when the big day arrived, nearly 3,800 fans showed up ready to play. Aussie air guitar champion Alex Jinja Assassin Roberts stood front and center, directing the massive crowd like a conductor leading a kick-ass orchestra. And when Highway to Hell started up, the entire park erupted. Arms thrashing, heads banging, imaginary power chords ringing out across Tompkins Park.
Let's get this world record passed! The Bon Scott!
And when it was all said and done, Guinness certified the attempt. Australia had done it. They'd reclaimed the air guitar crown with 3,722 participants, crushing that previous record by over 1,300 people. Coming in at number 3, on June 30th, 1972, Deep Purple did something absolutely insane at London's Rainbow Theatre. They cranked their 10,000-watt Marshall PA system so loud they hit 117 decibels. And 3 people in the crowd literally passed out from the sheer intensity of that sound. The rumor is that 2 of them lost their hearing for a long period of time. Yeah, it made them deaf. By the early 1970s, rock bands were locked in an arms race to see who could be the loudest ever. There was The Who, Uriah Heep, Blue Cheer, and Led Zeppelin. They were all in the mix, pushing the limits of what was sonically possible. Some Zeppelin concerts in the early 70s are reported to have hit over 120 decibels. Songs like Whole Lotta Love and Heartbreaker pushed PA systems to their absolute breaking point. But Guinness was never there to verify it, so it couldn't be certified. But you know what? Deep Purple got to the top first with an official measurement. But man, the consequences hit hard. Hard enough to knock 3 audience members unconscious. Health experts confirmed that the prolonged exposure to intense noise levels had caused dizziness, pain, hearing loss, and fainting. It wasn't just loud, it was really dangerous. Guinness World Records, they made the record official in their 1975 edition. Deep Purple was the loudest band on record. Now, it was a badge of honor. It was also a cautionary tale that forced Guinness to retire the category altogether after it made several people deaf for a time. They thought that this isn't a good idea to stand behind it. Deep Purple's record didn't stand unchallenged for long, though. In 1976, The Who hit 126 decibels at London's Charlton Athletic Football Ground. But even though it was louder than Deep Purple, Guinness refused to recognize it since they'd already discontinued that category. And then came Motorhead in 1984. They allegedly reached 130 decibels in Cleveland. The concert was so loud that the plaster started falling from the venue ceiling and the show had to be stopped altogether. Next, Manowar, they just about matched Motorhead in 94, hitting 129.5 decibels. This was during a concert in Hanover, Germany. And later, they would claim to have reached 139 decibels at the Magic Circle Festival back in 2008, although that wasn't during a public concert at all. And then in 2009, Kiss reportedly hit 136 decibels in Canada. The show was so loud that residents across the city complained and the band had to turn down the volume mid-show. You imagine that. But like most of these claims, it wasn't officially verified. The record, it's a tangled mess at this point. Without official recognition from Guinness beyond Deep Purple's 1972 mark, the question of which band is really the loudest, that's up for debate. But here's the thing, Guinness didn't have much choice when it came to retiring the loudest band category. I mean, the mounting risks and liability implications, they were just too great. Bands and audience members, they were suffering permanent hearing damage. Like I said, a few going deaf. I needed to do some research to find out. One of them I don't think ever got it back. Health professionals were sounding the alarm, though, and Guinness didn't want to encourage dangerous attempts that could lead to serious injuries. So, Deep Purple's 117 decibel performance became a frozen moment in time, no longer subject to challenge. It's been permanently etched in rock legend for what it did there. All right, coming into the bridesmaid position, the coveted number 2. Just keep getting bigger here. For this one, we're paying tribute to the only band that's performed concerts on every continent in the world. Metallica. On December 8, 2013, Metallica set a world record by becoming the first and only band in history to perform concerts on all 7 continents. And not only did they play every continent, but they played them all in the very same year. It's a record that's not likely to be matched anytime soon. So here's how it all went down. Metallica's 2013 touring schedule spanned North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. But the band and their team wanted to conquer new territory. They wanted to conquer Antarctica, a place you can't even go, really. Driven by their go big or go home ethos, the guys worked with Coca-Cola to arrange a concert at Argentina's Carlini Station, a remote research base on King George Island in the South Shetland Islands. That's crazy to think about that. The event, it was dubbed Freeze 'Em All, playing off of Metallica's album Kill 'Em All, of course. The final leg of their journey was uniquely challenging due to Antarctica's harsh climate, and also environmental protections and, of course, logistics. So get this, the audience was only 120 people. It included research scientists and also contest winners from Latin America who arrived after a week-long Antarctica cruise that stopped for that live show. As for the concert, Metallica entertained their audience inside a transparent dome. The hour-long show was the band performing a 10-song set. It had classics like Enter Sandman, Master of Puppets, and Nothing Else Matters. Incidentally, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere who may not be familiar, December is actually the middle of summer in Antarctica. So the temperature outside the dome at the time of the concert was a crisp 19 degrees Fahrenheit, right? That's Antarctica for you. Equivalent to a summer heat wave in Antarctica there. Inside the dome where Metallica performed, things were smoldering as the temperature may have been double that, but it was still cold. Actually, with wind chill, outside it probably felt more like the temperature was in the negatives. So it was a good thing they were inside of that dome anyway.
Are you ready to make history? So are we!
But the dome wasn't used entirely for warmth. It was also used to contain the so-called noise. The set was played entirely without traditional amplification. The music was being transmitted directly to the audience via headphones. This was specifically to prevent noise pollution in the protected Antarctic environment. But don't tell that to AC/DC. Despite the unorthodox setup and the chilly conditions, the energy, it was electric inside the small dome. Lars Ulrich later described it as the most unique show Metallica's ever done. Yeah. And the band spoke of their joy at being able to reach every corner of the earth. That's so cool. Guinness World Records promptly recognized the feat, even further cementing Metallica's place as rock legends. While the record-setting concert made news around the world, Metallica also released audio and video footage of the show, sharing the experience with millions of fans who were unable to join in person. The Freeze 'Em All concert, it was more than just a record-breaking publicity stunt, though. It was a statement of global connectivity through music. No other band before or since has matched the feat, and it's not likely to happen. Metallica's ability, to perform anywhere, under any condition, just stands as a symbol of rock's enduring power and reach. All right, so I gotta throw in one honorable mention here. It's a big one, though. The only artist in history to have a #1 hit every single year for 9 consecutive years. It's not the Beatles. Can you guess it? Well, it's not Michael Jackson. It's not Taylor Swift. It's Lionel Richie. Started in 1978 with the Commodores with the song 3 Times a Lady.
3 times a lady.
Then he did it in 79 with Still.
We play the games that people.
Then in 1980 with Lady, the song he wrote for Kenny Rogers.
I'm your knight.
Then in 81 with Endless Love, his duet with Diana Ross.
All my love with you.
You can't help but sing along to that one. Then in 82 he did it with the song Truly. 83 he did it All Night Long. 84 hit #1 with Hello.
Hello, is it me you?
And in 85 he did it with We Are the World. He was a co-writer of the song and of course performed on it. Finally in 86 was Say You, Say Me. An incredible feat. Nobody's ever going to top that.
Say you, say me.
All right, we've made it all the way to #1, and it's a good one. Check this out. For this record, I got to go with the biggest rock band in the world that was ever assembled, called the Rockin' 1000. So here's a story. Back in 2014, this Italian guy named Fabio Zaffanini had a wild dream. He wanted to bring the Foo Fighters to play in his small hometown of Cesena. But how do you convince one of the biggest rock bands in the world to play this tiny Italian village? Not many people living there. Well, Fabio thought about it. He thought, what if I got 1,000 musicians together to play a Foo Fighters song? What if we made a tribute so big, so audacious, that Dave Grohl and the band could never ignore it? So Fabio started pitching the idea. And, well, everyone thought something like this, it could never happen in Italy. But Fabio, he wouldn't quit. He crowdfunded the whole thing. And he somehow managed to convince 1,000 musicians to show up. On July 26, 2015, 1,000 guitarists, drummers, bassists, and singers gathered in a local park in Cesena to play Foo Fighters' Learn to Fly. It was epic. The video went viral worldwide, and it actually worked. Foo Fighters caught wind of it, and they were blown away. So on November 3rd, 2016, the Foos penciled in Cesena on their European tour. During that show, 2 members of the Rockin' 1000 were invited on stage to play with the band. Dream accomplished. Here's the thing, Rockin' 1000, it didn't stop there. They realized that they were definitely onto something big. It was the beginning of a global movement. So in 2016, they played their first live show in Cesena with 1,000 musicians performing a full 2-hour concert in a packed stadium. And they just kept on performing after that, filling stadiums across 20 countries. I mean, musicians of all skill levels joined the collective, united by their passion for rock. On July 7, 2019, Rockin' 1000 made it official. At an arena in Frankfurt, Germany, 1,002 musicians played together in front of 15,000 fans. It was a world record. The biggest live rock band ever assembled. For over 2 hours, they tore through rock classics from Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, The Who, Oasis, Nirvana, Springsteen, The Clash, AC/DC, The Verve, and of course, Learn to Fly by the Foos. Hundreds of guitarists, bassists, drummers, keyboardists, vocalists, even wind and string sections apparently, all playing in one massive entity. Coming into 2025, Rockin' 1000 would celebrate its 10th anniversary with a special 2-day event back in Cesena featuring 2,000 musicians over 2 nights. Fabio's vision had grown beyond anything he'd ever imagined. The organization launched an annual membership to keep the community connected and to encourage more and more people worldwide to join the movement. Rockin' 1000 has shown us in a powerful way something that we all instinctively know. Music is about coming together. It's about community. And sometimes all it takes is that one person with a crazy idea to make rock history. And man, these choices are an example of that. So leave us a comment about this. What's your favorite of one of these stories? What rock records haven't I covered that I should? I love these strange feats, these crazy feats. 2,000 people, biggest band ever. And I love Lionel Richie. I mean, I just went and saw him in concert, and the man is a legend. I mean, it's so many hits. So let's have a great discussion. What are your memories of these songs? Let's have a discussion below and celebrate music. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Make sure to subscribe.